Activision published some of the best games of the 2000s era and the early 2010s. Now they publish one game a year and call it a franchise. Going through the PS3 era of games really has me perplexed, I'm not gonna lie. Going through the catalog, you see a little bit of a pattern. A single game company that published legitimately great games has seemingly grown into complacency. Now I'm mainly going to focus on the COD IP for this video, since that's the property they have the most control over today, rather than the things they were willing to publish back then. But the things that they were willing to publish back then are crazy. I mean, Spider-Man, Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, Edge of Time, all of the Call of Duty titles, World at War, Modern Warfare, Black Ops 1 and 2, Modern Warfare 2 and 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Spyro, the SWAT series, Prototype, Guitar Hero, banger after banger. They published and oversaw some of the all-time classics on the PlayStation, but now they've become complacent and lazy. Call of Duty's steep decline from the early 2010s shows this better than most, in my opinion. And I know they've milked other franchises to death like Guitar Hero, but Guitar Hero was very clearly a franchise meant to be milked. It's a rhythm game with a unique controller. Pumping those out every year made sense with a wealth of different types of music that could have been licensed. It was just a no-brainer decision that that's what they were going to do, and then it makes sense because you can have these people come back that made these songs and give them guitar elements to make it at least a little similar to the control scheme, and I'm pretty sure that's what they did. But Call of Duty's decline seems to be more calculated than that. It's an aversion to risk-taking. Call of Duty used to be mature and far from risk-averse. Modern Warfare 2, World at War, you would never call those games risk-averse. If anything, the risk was always in your face. But now Activision seems to be the one pushing for the risk aversion. Nothing illustrates this more than the golden era of COD and its side content. Multiplayer always was going to get stale, which is why 2019 exists, but they pushed 2019 way too far in terms of gameplay in the realism department, straying too far away from the Call of Duty roots to be fun. And now, because it made a shit ton of money, even though every Call of Duty does, they are forcing that formula onto every single COD game that's been released. Hey, I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, currently halfway there. So if you like the video so far, then please subscribe. My packaging isn't good, but YouTube keeps pushing my content with thousands of impressions, and I'm just not generating a lot of clicks. As one of the lucky few to click on a poorly packaged video, then subscribe. Leave a comment telling me how to improve the thumbnails and other things like that. It will be greatly appreciated. Now back to the video. In the late 2000s to early 2010s, we had side content that felt defined and refined. Each developer pushed the last to be greater, and it felt like a competition that was good because it gave fans better games. Now, with Activision wanting to homogenize the franchise, the studios that had competitive natures have been stamped out. Take Zombies, for example. Introduced in World at War, Infinity War, the favorite at the time, is slowly being edged out. They needed a win to show that Treyarch couldn't do it better. Then they released a lackluster side mode in Spec Ops, but it wasn't that not well received whenever it came out, because they were story focused then, and they are still now, but these modes, whenever they came out, came off as good side content rather than a full-on repeatable side mode, which is what they needed. When Treyarch released Black Ops 1 side mode, innovating and refining the systems released in World at War, they desperately needed an even bigger win. And then we got Survival, probably one of the most addicting side modes ever to come out of the series. Still second, but it was still fun and unique. Instead of innovating on that, they released Ghosts, and that mode was so bad I don't even want to talk about it. This picture isn't to say that Treyarch were the only people innovating. They copied Modern Warfare's class creation system, but then they refined it with the Pick 10 system, and then Infinity Ward tried to refine it even further with Ghost system, which wasn't even really that half bad. It was unique, but it wasn't exactly well received. It felt like Treyarch had quickly edged them out as the favorite. And I say all this to say that each studio pushed the others to be better. Every game felt unique, and every game had its own distinct style. Even Sledgehammer, being a middle ground of both of these, having been a supportive studio for decades, their own games felt like a blend between either of them, and their ability to change their own games with feedback makes them definitively my favorite. I mean, they completely redefined World War II's systems, specifically because fans didn't like what they changed and the ways that it worked. No other studio does that, especially fucking Infinity Ward, who gave us the worst matchmaking system in history and still won't change change it or any of their design philosophies in any of the games that they make. But I don't think that any of this homogenization was due to that interpersonal studio fire being burnt out. I think it was smothered by Activision. With them publishing fewer and fewer games in recent years and taking less risks with the games that they release, it feels that Call of Duty is their sole cash cow now, and we are seeing the reverberations of that philosophy bleed into the games. One of the main staples of the games is their main menu. It was the thing that explained exactly what the games would be about. The harrowing menu found in World at War sets the bleak tone that game goes for. The kick-ass image of the American Marine in Modern Warfare 2 sets the over-the-top cocaine-fueled campaign that you'll go on. Meanwhile, the stern image found in Modern Warfare 3 comes across as righteous vengeance that fully demanded at the end of Modern Warfare 2. And the real photo being used from Fallujah in Modern Warfare 1's menu screen also has that bleak tone for the series that World at War continued before MW2 was made. Now it feels like every game is trying to be the same, and the menus reflect that, either by purchasing the game alone and seeing its menu look exactly like the last one, or seeing every COD game in that Call of Duty app have the same menu with the features found within the game boiled down to the campaign, multiplayer, and zombies being overlaid over the covers of their respective games. And these games do all look strikingly similar as well. Treyarch still produces the best games, but it's in spite of these systems that they were forced to adopt, which is sad. And it's not just the side modes or the menus. Look at what happened to the actual publisher around Call of Duty while all this was happening. Toys for Bob, the studio that made Spyro and later did the Crash and Spyro remasters that everyone loved, got spun off as an independent studio in 2023 after Activision basically stopped giving them anything meaningful to work on outside of support work. Vicarious Visions, who made some of the best Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot content this company ever put out, got folded directly into Blizzard to work on fucking Diablo instead of making their own games. That's not restructuring. That's Activision quietly admitting that they don't want studios making original things anymore, and these studios taking the hint are going to do their own thing. They want studios propping up the two live service products that print money for them, and that's the part people miss when they talk about how COD's dead or the COD decline, like it's just the games got worse or something. It's really not that simple. Activision set up this 3-studio rotation, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, specifically so a new COD ships every single year no matter what, not when a studio has something worth shipping. And even back then, whenever a COD shipped year over year, it felt natural because every game stylistically was different because the game was made by people that actually liked what they were doing. But now Activision doesn't really care about that. It's more about shipping it for the sake of shipping it, not whenever the studio has something worth shipping, not when the ideas are ready. It's just every year guaranteed like clockwork because the business model demands it, not because the creative pipeline does. You can feel that in the games that they publish today. You can feel when a team had 4 years or 3 years to cook versus whenever they had 18 months because it was just their turn in the rotation, or one studio wasn't ready and so another studio had to take their place. And look at where all of that energy actually goes now. It's not even really about the individual games anymore. It's always about Warzone, and even in Warzone's decline, everything still has to cater to it. Every entry, regardless of which studio made it, exists to feed one live service product, whether that's the entire Call of Duty brand now, which it just kind of has become, or just Warzone entirely. And it's because they put all of their eggs in one basket and it just blew up in their face. The campaigns feel like an afterthought bolted onto a battle pass delivery system, whereas before the multiplayer was the afterthought and the campaign's areas became multiplayer maps. And now it kind of feels like the reverse, where the multiplayer is the main focus and you're basically making a game to facilitate the multiplayer, and that's just never really what it was about. And now they're scrambling to figure out how to make COD good again. We are getting DMZ again soon. Like, COD players don't like extraction shooters. Go let a studio create a separate extraction shooter and make them support it so the guys that are good at multiplayer can make fucking multiplayer. The multiplayer maps get designed around what keeps people inside the game longer and tries to push them toward Warzone because the weapons in the game carry over to Warzone. So it's like you're basically playing the multiplayer for filler so you can try and get the main fun from Warzone. Why do I want a game like that? The multiplayer maps now are not taking cues from what what made World at War or Black Ops 1's maps good or memorable on their own. Compare that era that I opened up with, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and even Sledgehammer, were making campaigns and modes that stood on their own that you'd remember specifically. Mile High Club, the Pentagon level, whatever it was good. Even World War II had that spy level that was good. Every COD has a level that is memorable, but these new campaigns, barring Treyarch's, are not as airtight as the older ones are because the characters have to be able to be put in Warzone. And you see this because Treyarch has supplemented this, because they're the only creative studio left, by making the main character of those games be the only people that can be killed. If you notice, ever since Warzone got introduced, the main characters are the people that die. And it's only specifically in Treyarch's games because Treyarch wants fucking stakes and they're trying to make a story. Meanwhile, Infinity Ward, I don't know what they're doing. Every single character that they have has to be in fucking Warzone because that's where the money is at, baby. Warzone isn't even big anymore, yet Activision are chasing numbers from an era where most people were forced to play it since they were locked up during COVID. So it's like the business people don't understand what made that a good business model in the first place. And so they're chasing these high numbers, fucking millions and millions of players playing Warzone. It's like, dude, do you not understand that that was in the middle of a pandemic? Like, what are we talking about? The monetization also just gets cooked year over year too. I'm not saying that COD has had the best monetization ever. The DLCs stacking up to basically buying the game again, kind of some bull. But at least you got what you got. Now they're charging you more for it while they give you like a shittier experience. $60 to $70 a copy, plus a season pass, plus bundles, plus store rotations for those bundles every year for a game built on a structural issue that they've been recycling since Modern Warfare 2019. And they only recently started carrying over. I mean, this is the risk aversion that I keep coming back to. They figured out exactly how much they can charge for exactly how little creative risk that they need to take, and they've optimized that number instead of optimizing the fucking game. So when I say Activision's grown unambitious, this is what I actually mean. Gaming is now not about gamers anymore. These games are not being created by gamers for gamers. These games have just been corporatized, and it's just slop over and over and over again. And this is why indie is really taking off, because those are actual gamers willing to play the game, and they don't have egos that make them be like, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. You guys don't know what you're talking about. One of the Infinity Ward directors literally called us armchair developers because we said that they're changing shit that has been tried and true and making it worse. I mean, go fuck yourself, bro. Treyarch still finds a way to make the best version of the formula, but it's still that formula, and it's the only formula anyone's allowed to use anymore. And it's not just the side modes being flattened out or the menus looking identical, or the studios that used to make weird ambitious side content getting stripped for parts. It's just the entire gaming culture right now that is bad. Activision didn't lose its ambition because the talent disappeared. They lost it because they stopped letting their studios make games. They started making products instead.